I think for me, my most favorite projects are the ones where the client truly appreciates the hoops that we jumped through to make their project happen.
Yeah.
To me, it's not even so much about the tangible object that we designed or fabricated, but the client's reaction to that product.
Yeah.
With more than 30 years of experience in custom design and fabrication, Mike Dillon, president of Dillon Works, visits the lounge to discuss some of his most successful projects, how years as a Disney Imagineer influenced the impeccable quality of his work, and what the future holds. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification icon to never miss an episode of In the Design Lounge.
But so tell us the origin story. Tell us about the company. You've been in business for over 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
How did it
33.
start? Tell us about Dillon Works. Yeah, Dillon Works. How did it start? Where did the concept come from?
I started working when I was 12, actually,
Okay.
painting store windows in a small town in central Washington called Ellensburg. And for rodeo time and Christmas time, I would paint store windows. And I'd earn $1,500 a season and thought that was pretty cool. So by the time I was 14, I bought my first car. Loaned it to my sister until I was old enough to drive it.
There you
But
go.
right after high school, I was industrious and I liked to make things. I always liked to build things. I was never really into model kits where you knew what it would be when it was done, but making custom things or making something from scratch. So I was working freelance on the side for the display department at Nordstrom, building sets and props for the store displays, and then started working in commercials. Moved down to LA and started working in movies and commercials. I worked with Jim Cameron before he became James Cameron. And then everybody I showed my portfolio to said, you should be at Disney. And your style is Disney. And it was easier said than done. And I finally literally met somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody at the studio who then knew somebody at Imagineering. Worked there almost 5 years, building on Epcot in Florida, Tokyo Disneyland, Disneyland's Fantasyland in California. After that, my wife and I decided we wanted to raise kids and we wanted to do it in a normal atmosphere. So we moved back up to Seattle. And I started Dillon Works.
How was working at Disney at that time? How was that impacted even what you do now? Right, I would imagine like that created a blueprint of not just creativity, right?
The creative process and also the quality level of what something is. And I honestly I didn't go to college for this. I didn't go to design school, so I considered my time at Disney my schooling.
Exactly.
And it was kind of nice to be paid to go to school. I enjoyed my time there. It was pretty corporate at the time. I realized that I didn't necessarily want to work my way up through the company. So rather than that, started my own company. That was 33 years ago. We have almost 50 employees that are full-time, from designers, fabricators, and then all the project managers and such.
So walk me through that. So you said in your grandmother's basement?
My grandmother-in-law's basement, my wife's grandmother's basement by Green Lake here in Seattle, and was building props for commercials. And back in the day in Seattle, we would build things like the Ivers Running Clams, which were used in commercials, big 6-foot clams that ran down the beach. And we would build sets for commercials and movies and that sort of thing. And then it shifted. One of the reasons we've lasted 33 years in Seattle is by having the ability to adapt with the market as it grows. And so we are always looking for the next market that our talents can be utilized. So in the early days when the movies and commercials were starting to phase out, we were starting to get into more architectural projects, museums, children's hospitals.
What would you say is like your guys like go-to, especially, I mean, obviously it's custom, right? Is it like when someone thinks of Dillon Works, what are they thinking of? Where are they coming to you for specifically? You guys can do that no one else really does.
One of our taglines is creative thinking and brilliant execution. That we're creative thinkers about how we think about a project, and then executing the project and how we fabricate it. And quite often you'll have a design firm that doesn't necessarily know how to build, or a fabrication firm that doesn't necessarily know how to design. And we have a staff of designers that we consider defenders of the design.
Defenders of the design. That is amazing. Probably most people are like I said, are not defenders of the design. They try to figure out how they can do it the quickest, easiest way possible. and it tells you why you can't do it as opposed to why you can do it.
Exactly. And, it's interesting because over the course of my company, I've been told normally a company like mine would have a business person and a designer that work together with a company. And yet I've never had a partner in the company. I am kind of a
left and right brain.
Exactly. Within just me. And I think that way.
I think that's super unique in the creative space, having someone that is equally business and analytical as they are creative, right?
Exactly.
You have to have that, whether it's through a partnership or whether it's just having a unique person that that has that skill set.
Exactly.
One without the other. And a lot of times, the people, what I've found is that creatives don't want to be the business person.
Right.
Like they reject the business side of it. So what are some of the projects that you've done over the years? Like, what are some of your favorite projects?
I have different projects that are favorites for different reasons. We do work for Disney now and again throughout the world. The only park we haven't worked in is Paris. And for Hong Kong Disneyland, we built a 35-foot tall rocket ship that weighs 11 tons. The trick was not how to build it, how do we get it to Hong Kong? So in AutoCAD, we drew the shipping containers. We fit all the pieces in the computer. Before we even started building it, we knew it would take 8 containers to get it to Hong Kong. Okay. And then we had one of their supervisors came to our facility. We put it up in our parking lot. They watched us put it together, took it apart, created it up, shipped it to Hong Kong, and we never went there for the install. They just did it per the instructions that we sent, and having watched it being put together. There's another project that we worked on that I thought was very fascinating in terms of the process. Olsen Kundig had designed the Space Needle remodel, but we actually worked with Adam Tahani Design out of New York City and McVeigh Oakley here in Seattle for the restaurant level in the Space Needle. And the concept was they wanted liquid metal, and they wanted these undulating metal panels. But there were cost challenges. There were the limitations of getting things up into the Space Needle, as well as fire code that we had to meet. And so we created, on our CNC machine, we custom milled the panels out of foam, took a mold of that. When you flip the mold over and put the fiberglass in, we put bronze powder in the resin, and so the bronze would settle in the mold. And when you pull it out, we could actually buff it and patina it. Looks like metal, but it's actually fiberglass. And so we designed it in a way where we took the left side of panel A matches the right side of the fourth panel D, and then they repeat all the way around the circle of the Space Needle. And so we did 54 panels out of those 4 molds, and the results were spectacular, especially at sunset when you see the light hit that wall.
Now I'm like, okay, now I gotta go.
Exactly.
I want to be like, I bet you guys didn't know.
That's right.
But every 4th panel,
That's
you
right.
know what I mean? I have the inside
track.
Right.
But the way it is, because it's circular, you can't ever see all 6 or 8 panels in a row, so you never really notice that it's a repeating pattern. I think for me, my most favorite projects are the ones where the client truly appreciates the hoops that we jumped through to make their project happen. To me, it's not even so much about the tangible object that we designed or fabricated, but the client's reaction to that product.
This is, by the way, what we learned in week 1 of culinary school. So.
Okay, so you're making me feel even worse about myself. I'm literally jealous and scared to death at the same time.
We're going to supreme some citrus today, and then we're going to talk about what we do with all the trim. So we have...
the trim with the supreme.
The supreme trim.
The supreme trim. There you go.
So what that means is we're taking away the peel and the pith. Grapefruit supremes, sometimes like for a garnish for a raw fish dish, we'll do lime supremes and cut them really small.
You make that look easier than it is.
I was looking at that. I'm like, you are already light years ahead of me. I would be bandaged up right now.
Sometimes we forget because we practice so much. But so there's 2 ways to finish this segmenting our orange. One way, you can go in from both sides.
I'm totally jealous right now.
Yeah. You can also do it by turning the knife and coming back out this way. Sure you can.
Yeah. So you want me to do what you just did?
Yep. So you're not getting out of here without
You want me to do what you just did. Mike already told me he wanted to go first.
Yeah, right.
He told me, he's like, I do this. I was thinking about going to culinary school at one point, so I think he should go first. And then, exactly. Well, he did say this is what you learned in the first week.
Yes, except for I would be.
Thanks, Brandon.
I would probably be a little bit more harsh with the teaching.
Okay.
Teaching opportunities is what they like to call them.
I definitely want to drink yours, the one that you created.
Okay.
Thanks, Brandon.
I mean, yours look good too.
Well, now you see like the work that goes into everything.
Yes.
You want to give it a try?
I mean, why,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a ringer here. People that know me,
So
no.
top on first.
Yes. Never. Ooh.
Go. Wow.
Precision. Now I'm supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a rainbow cut. Okay, so you're not gonna make it very far in the kitchen, but
You know what? Stick to what you're good at. If nothing else, you know yourself. I know myself. Oh, well, this is ridiculous. I'm gonna stop now.
Okay. Well, A for effort, though. I would save at least some of the ones that Mike did, and most of the ones I did for garnish.
No, see, this is what I'm good at. I can juice.
You got the juice.
I got the juice.
We would use the Cuatrocientos Conejos, the Joven Mezcal, so that is not aged mezcal. That comes from Oaxaca. You guys want to try rimming your own? Add a little bit on your rim and then dip it in the smoked salt that I prepared that has some star anise, fennel, coriander, paprika.
This is what I was waiting for.
Exactly. We thought you'd never get there.
Fresh orange.
Goes down nice.
Yeah,
This is. There you go. I can do this. I mean, I can't do this, but I can do this.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So the Hong Kong project. Now, when was that? Was that recent?
That was probably about 8 years ago, 10 years ago.
And the reason I'm asking, it seems like that project might have prepared you somewhat for the pandemic, right? Not
Yes.
being able to, not knowing
Yes.
how to get it there. You're like, okay, how do I work with something, that I'm not present? Has the pandemic like opened up opportunities though? Like you talked about earlier, how you guys, you shift depending on what the marketplace allows you, the
Sure.
direction it's going. Or do you see something coming or a new market that's going to be spawned because of what we're going through?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that because we did a reactive wall public art sculpture that Studio SC designed, and it has LEDs in it, and as you walk by, it actually reacts to you walking by, and the more people that walk by, the more it changes.
Yeah.
And that's all proximity sensors that are mounted under the sculpture. So we do quite a bit of work in children's hospitals, and we're working right now with Boston Children's Hospital, and they have these activity boxes where there's motors and things that occur, but rather than have the kids push a button, because of the pandemic, we said we can put proximity sensors in there. The kids just wave their hand in front of it and it'll work. And so we're actually always looking for ways that we can take technology that we've used in another project and implement it in something new.
There's creativity in everything, right?
Mhm.
In the ideas, people think of creativity in the idea, in the concept, but also in the execution.
Right.
Right. And,
Right.
And sometimes that is the breakthrough.
Absolutely.
Is the creativity in the execution.
And I honestly think we're different at that than many other fabrication companies in that we are creative about how we solve a problem. We did some tile and some basket weave once for a big rotunda, and it was going to be 20 feet up in the air, but the client really wanted a natural basket weave. So we figured out a way to custom form wood veneer into loops that could be woven together to look like a basket weave.
Yeah.
On top of that was tile. That would have been very expensive, very heavy, and time-consuming to install. So we digitally printed tile onto an aluminum composite panel, which would have been well enough, but we went the next step, which was we silk screened a matte clear for all the seams between the tiles where the grout would be, so that from the sheen it actually looks like individual tiles. And so this was put up 20 feet in the air. People walk by, they think it's actually ceramic tile, and the reality is it's just flat pieces, but we fooled them with how we did it.
So, and that comes back to, the defending of the design. But I think also not only do you guys defend the design, but it's like elevating the design.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like it seems like your people come to you and you're like, they want this crazy idea, and you're like, okay, that's great, but we're going to take it to another level.